بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear and respected brothers and sisters, it brings me great pleasure and joy to join you once again this Ramadan, inshallah, to be able to bring you some up-to-date health advice so that you can fast to the best of your ability. My name is Dr Saania Bhatti. I'm one of the GPs based in North London. I have an interest in lifestyle medicine and neurolinguistic programming, so alternative forms of health and healing. And I very much hope to incorporate this in my approach. As we've mentioned before, this is an extraordinary year where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has really pressed the reset button on our lives to help us to find balance. And we are extremely blessed to be able to live to see Ramadan, a great opportunity for change, not just change for a few days, but change for life. Many people undergo their biggest and greatest transformation during Ramadan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the gift of life, health, opportunity, discipline and connection with Him. And these elements are really a powerhouse or a generator or true engineers of change. So without further ado, I'm just going to take you through some basic housekeeping first. Please bear with me. Okay. So as this is a generic health program, all advice given here is for general information only. If you have any specific health concerns, you should discuss these with your own doctor. Okay. So moving on from this, what I'd also like to do is share with you some basic and very useful websites. Of these, what I would recommend really is dietdoctor.com, drasim.com, the BEMA website, www.britishima.org, and the mcb.org.uk websites, which have some excellent resources on how to fast safely, who should be fasting, who should not be fasting, and whether we should be fasting during the coronavirus pandemic. In a nutshell, the overall advice regarding the pandemic is that those who are fit and well should still continue to fast, and those who are sick or unwell with coronavirus, as with any other condition, they are exempted. So I would like to take you through Surah Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that the month of Ramadan is that in which the Quran was revealed as a guidance for people and clear proofs of guidance. So whoever sights the new moon should fast, and whoever is ill or on a journey, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends for them ease. They should make up the fast with an equal number of days. He does not intend for us hardship and wants us to complete this period so that we may glorify Him for the gift of guidance and that we may attain unto gratitude. So I think this is a very, very important slide. I think the reason that I've taken a moment to share this is that we're all very familiar with this verse. However, it conjures up many of the key principles of our religion. Firstly, it talks about commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through fulfilling His obligations and the obligation of fasting. It talks about ease, that He does not want hardship or difficulties for us. But it also says that all of these gifts that He's given us and the acts of worship that He's given us should lead us to become closer to Him and to be people of gratitude. And I think, the gift of health is a gift that is almost unparalleled. After Iman, it is the vehicle for us to be able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the best of our abilities. So our health is an amanah. Abu Bakr reported in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, a man said, "O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which of the people are best?" The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "One whose life is long and whose deeds are good." And in a narration from Ali radiallahu anhu, the two greatest blessings are health and faith, or health and security. So I just want to take a moment to pause and think about these two things, because health is something that we take for granted. We often live busy lives, we don't stop to eat properly, we have working lunches, and many of us spend several hours driving on the roads. We don't have time for exercise, we struggle to meet friends and family, we sacrifice our sleep all for the sake of this 24/7 kind of living lifestyle, but yet, we are seeing now that young and old people, many types of, people of all backgrounds are being affected by coronavirus. This is obviously Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, and life and death are completely in his hands. But it is up to us to look after this huge blessing that we have of health. So how do we look after health? Well, actually, our deen is a comprehensive deen, and there's nothing lacking in the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ in terms of how we should live our lives for optimal health and optimal well-being. Ultimately, we are ummatan wasata, a middle path ummah, and our deen is one of balance, and we see this ultimately in Ramadan, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala detaches us somewhat from the dunya to be able to feed our souls and recalibrate to find balance in all things. It's narrated from Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Abdullah, have I not been informed that you fast all day and stand in prayer at night?" I said, "Yes, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." He said, "Do not do that. Observe the fast sometimes and also leave it at other times. Stand up for prayer at night and also sleep at night. Your body has a right over you, your eyes have a right over you, and your wife has a right over you." From Bukhari and Muslim. So, although this hadith does not relate to the obligatory fast, it relates to voluntary worship. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us through the Prophet ﷺ that we should have balance in all our affairs. And ultimately, what I'm going to bring this on to talk about is our balance in our lifestyles and how we can use this for health and healing. It's also narrated in Sunan al-Tirmidhi from Miqdam ibn Ma'di Qarib. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The son of Adam cannot fill a vessel worse than his stomach, as it is enough for him to take a few bites to straighten his back. If he cannot do it, then he may fill it with a third for his food, a third for his drink, and a third for his breath." Let's just pause and think about that second hadith. So it's saying a few bites, luqmat, are enough to straighten his back. That means enough for him to have enough energy to worship, enough energy to do what he needs to do. And that actually, filling this vessel, this stomach, with more than what it needs is actually going to be harmful. There's nothing worse that we can do than overeat and fill our stomach with the wrong kinds of food. And if we do need to eat beyond that, then even still we should keep a third empty so that we can breathe. We all know that horrible gluttonous feeling of feeling, overindulgent and not having more food on our plates than we're able to stomach. And actually how horrible it is afterwards with all the bloating and the indigestion and the sluggishness. And that sluggishness which compromises our ibadah, it compromises our mood, it compromises our energy. So there's a lot of wisdom here. And I think if we were just to focus on this one hadith, it would solve a lot of our health problems. So, as I move on, obviously there's been a lot in the press in the last couple of years around the benefits of intermittent fasting, and I'm not going to dwell on this too much. There are many forms of intermittent fasting. There's a 5-2 fast, which is very close to the Sunnah, and in fact people like Michael Mosley observe Mondays and Thursdays. There is, 3 consecutive days which we have in our white days, which have been found to reset your immune system. Then a lot of people are currently doing the 16-8 fast, which has been found to basically allow your brain to switch to something called ketosis, so where you start to use up your sugar stores and metabolize fat. And this is a highly healthy state for most people to be in. Obviously it's not for everyone, but it means that it allows the brain to be able to cope under the situations of stress and fight off inflammation in the body, which I will talk about a little later on. So I'm just going to share some of these health benefits with you and run through them. So what are the health benefits of fasting? So obviously the studies have been done on intermittent fasting. Ramadan is a very special type of fasting because it allows us to extend this fasting for a longer period of time. And we know that it takes between 21 and 40 days to form a new habit, which is why this is our prime opportunity for forming a new habit and changing our lifestyle. The Ramadan that we have at the moment is roughly akin to the 16-8 fast, where we fast for approximately 16 or 17 hours and we eat within an 8-hour window. This, as I've said, allows us to reset our metabolism and use up sugar stores. Fasting has been associated with extending lifespan, obviously within Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, but it's part of our duty to our bodies. It helps us to reduce unhealthy fats in the blood and reduce diseases of aging of the brain, what we call neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. There's also been some research on some rabbits that were fed ajwa dates, and it's been shown that this may help reduce LDL fats, unhealthy fats in the bloodstream. Fasting may help with weight loss, prevention of type 2 diabetes, improve blood pressure and heart health, and it may also reduce the risk of cancer, simply by reprogramming the immune system, balancing out the gut bacteria, and also by fighting weight loss. We know that one of the biggest factors for cancer is actually obesity. Okay, so Ramadan is a time for us to reset our health, and I want us all to make a commitment now that we are going to honour our bodies, we are going to honour the gift of life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, so that we can have long and productive lives full of good deeds and good actions, so that we can serve Him and carry the message. This is the bare minimum we can do. It's like saying, well, I want to go to work, but I will not take care of my car, and your car is the essential vehicle to get you to your destination. So our bodies, our minds, these are gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's up to each and every one of us as dutiful human beings and grateful servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to look after our health, and by that look after and from there to look after our health. So what I'd like to say is that you are what you eat. The old adage still holds true. How we live and what we eat can literally turn our genes on and off. We can create good health by taking ownership of our lifestyle choices. Our Ramadan is an excellent opportunity to commit to these changes. We still have almost enough time, if we take the advice given today seriously, to become new and healthy people. In fact, if you were to follow the advice strictly, there have been anecdotal reports of people reversing their diabetes and regaining control over their metabolic health, in some cases within 10 days, if not 21 days. Obviously, with the added challenge of fasting, what I'm going to be proposing today is not going to be very intense. However, what I'd like to say is that really following the lifestyle advice here could allow you to have complete mastery of your health. All it's going to take from you is that spiritual intention, that commitment and that motivation, and it's not difficult. The rest Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make very, very easy. And fasting is not a new thing. It's been with us for a long, long time. Some of the greatest historians and physicians have said fasting is the greatest remedy, the physician within. A little starvation can really do more for the average sick man than the best doctors and all the best medicines. And humans live on 1/4 of what they eat. The other 3/4 their doctors live on. So again, this concept of what we're eating very much, and how much we're eating, very much determining our health. So, why do we eat so much? Let's take a moment to think about this. Do we really need to eat everything that we eat? How much do we waste? What goes in the bin? What piles up for the birds? And why are we eating? There are many, many reasons why we choose to eat, and they're not necessarily due to hunger or for worship or to keep our back straight. Many of us are eating our way through life. And I'm going to share with you some of the causes of why we're eating. So aside from hunger, we eat excessively because of media and advertising. So those beautiful billboards with those burgers with mayonnaise dripping. Media image, let's go to steakhouse, or the great restaurant chains, McDonald's or whatever. and you're shown this food that automatically tells your brain, you start salivating and your reward systems are being triggered, and you are now subconsciously craving that food. And also temptation, food is eating is a basic survival instinct. So if we were not tempted by food, we would basically not survive as a human race. So it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy that we are tempted, but it's our job to, restrain and tame our nafs, so that we eat according to what we need rather than according to our desires. And then if you eat with the intention of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, doing great good, serving your family, inshallah, hopefully even the basic act of eating can become an act of worship. The other key driver is often fear. So we have survival and we have fear, another basic instinct. We see images of starvation, children, malnourished children from Africa and all over the world. It's endless countries that we see all over the media. Every day we're reminded that they do not have food to eat. And we count our blessings, and perhaps we even eat on their behalf. We eat for security and comfort. For many of us, it's a way of managing our stress, a way of managing all the emotional triggers that we experience. We eat for pleasure. We eat socially. We eat out of boredom. We eat out of habit, and we eat out of mindlessness. Those working lunches, those TV dinners, that rushing around where we haven't got time to prepare a proper meal, and it's easier just to keep on the go because we've met our basic need of being nourished or fed. And then we have the abundance of mass-produced, cheap, poor quality food and misinformation around healthy eating choices, marketing and branding, and a mass abundance of convenience foods, packets and tins. We no longer work on the land, where we are not sure whether our crop is going to go through, how much we are going to have. We have the convenience of walking into a supermarket, paying for a few packets and eating on the go. And all this availability is driving us to sickness. Okay. So I hope that this brief introduction has provided us all with some food for thought about how we're eating, what we're eating, whether we should be eating, and this amazing gift of Ramadan that allows us to basically curb our desires, curb our hunger, grow close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is ultimately, our main ability to achieve all tawfiq is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that I hope that there is some inspiration here for us to make these changes that will allow us to live longer, live healthier, avoid diabetes, avoid heart disease and strokes, avoid cancers, maintain good mental health, and avoid things like dementia and Parkinson's. I think these are all massive incentive, to live the lives that we want, and lives of health and ease, inshallah. I'm going to move on to the next part of my talk. In part 2, you're going to learn a little bit about how we should be fasting and about an amazing dietary program for this Ramadan, which combines a lot of these approaches that we've talked about to enable us to achieve excellent health, inshallah.